dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. Thomas Jefferson. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
All right, Governor Jesse Ventura is our guest, and we're going to go to him in a moment. But I can tell you unequivocally, just like those airline pilots said, we're not doing this. You trust us with a giant plane, but you're going to have some pot-bellied person grab our genitals and microwave us? Not happening. We've got to say no like they did. And here's another issue. This is the federalization of transportation. They're now estimating, it was $20 billion, now $40 billion a year. $40 billion a year. $40 billion a year that the hotels are losing, that the restaurants are losing, that the theme parks are losing. Remember last year when this all kind of peaked? Because Drudge, who is #1 news website in the world, was posting our articles every day. And my own employee, them trying to grope her small daughter and all that, that kind of kicked it all off. And then them lying and saying they weren't and video coming out of it. They came out at that point and basically tried to deny they were doing all this. And then the Restaurant Association, the Hotel Association, the Travel Association came out and said, stop it, don't do it, we don't want this. So Governor Ventura is just a prominent person who had the courage to speak out and say no and not fly. The reason they're engaged in a blackout of him right now is because they're scared of it. They know we're reaching critical mass. They know this is a bipartisan, transpartisan issue that brings black, white, Hispanic, liberal, conservative, libertarian, atheist, Christian, Muslim, Jew, agnostic, Buddhist together. This is a unifying issue. Everybody knows it's a joke. And the borders are basically wide open, but then they're using this, like Ron Paul said, the walls are to keep us in. We're going back to Jesse Ventura, but I just want to point out, if you go to Infowars.com, we've got all 3 of his latest books, American Conspiracies, incredibly powerful, super discounted right now. 63 documents the government doesn't want you to read, New York Times bestseller with Dick Russell and Jesse Ventura, Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. All 3 of these books discounted at Infowars.com. Get them out to people. And Jesse, I've got to say to you, and I want you to have the floor here, and then really break down where you stand. But I have seen you fly. I have seen you happy when we got to the airport, literally beside yourself, angry in a controlled fashion after they groped you. Ron Paul has come on and said it's disgusting and it enrages him. He has to fly like twice a week. He hates it. All these other Congress people. I've had state reps on where they intimidate them and grope their children and scream at them. Everybody's getting sick of this. So that's why they're scared. But why not run for president to really say, I want the Bill of Rights, I want my country back, I want my country back, and then there's no way they can ignore you if you do that. This is the best way to fight these bastards. It's like Rosa Parks running for president, Governor Ventura.
Well, thanks, Alex, but the difficulty would be this. I don't have any money. I won't accept PAC money. I don't accept corporate money. I never did. Let me repeat to people, when I ran for governor of Minnesota, I only raised $300,000. I actually made more money doing the job than I did to get the job. I made $120,000 a year for 4 years. That's what the governor is paid. And so I made $480,000, and I only spent $300,000 to get it. The problem is, Alex, I don't have ballot access. I can say all I want. I'll run for president. But I won't have ballot access in any states, so therefore they'd have to write me, and there's no way you stand any chance.
Okay, I got that. But look at Ron Paul. His average donation's about $40, and he's the number 3 raiser. I think you could do it regardless. You're saying, you've told me privately, I won't run unless I think I can win. You win by fighting these creatures and forcing your way into the media, and I agree. I think it's time for the libertarians. Aaron Russo was great. Michael Bagneric, great. Come on, folks. They're great guys. But Jesse Ventura, you are head and shoulders more as a personality. The libertarians need to call for you. I know they're waiting for Ron Paul off record. I mean, that's well known in the media. Paul said he might run third party if he doesn't get the nomination. But I'm telling you, Gov, I mean, you put your hat in the ring. You're waiting on it. I don't. What can I do? What am I supposed to do? Call the libertarians and say, here I am? Well, that's what happens. They've got people already lobbying, or they've got that caucus. I mean, I think it's here.
I think that it would require the libertarians to come to me and say, look, we have ballot access in 48, 50 states. We would like you to be our nomination for president.
Oh, it's sensational.
Because I just don't think it's right for me to... I think they're the organization. They're the ones that have the ballot access.
Well, I know this. You're very libertarian on every front. In fact,
I passed their test with flying colors.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no doubt compared to Bob Barr. I mean, you're a much bigger and more powerful and constitutional figure. You didn't vote for the Patriot Act like he did, and I'm not... He said he voted for it to get a sunset in it, but, I mean, I'm not saying Barr's even a bad guy. The point is, you are light years ahead of him.
Remember something, too, though, Alex. When you let me explain this. When you hold those public offices, when you leave 10 years later, you realize that there are quite a few things you voted for that you probably, in hindsight, would not have done. That can happen to you. You know, and it can happen, and I'm not making excuses for Bob Barr on the Patriot Act, but it can happen, and it's okay to change your mind. If you voted for something 10 years ago, and then you realize through educating yourself and seeing the results of it that you were wrong, then simply come out and admit it.
All right, well, I'm going to say this right.
I made a mistake when I voted for that 10 years ago.
I agree. I think he's done that now. But what I'm saying here is it shows a judgment issue, but I understand what you're saying. I'm saying this right now. If the Libertarian Party does not approach you now and does not seriously entertain asking you to go to their caucus and try to win it, because that's how it works. It's Libertarian. You undoubtedly won it hands down because you've got the background, everything. You dwarf Bob Barr. You would bring absolute lightning power to this whole thing, and the fundraising they would get, the amount of attention. A lot of people have said at the hierarchy they're infiltrated. And I'm saying right now, if they don't approach you, they are 100% infiltrated. Unless they come out and say, we're waiting for Ron Paul, then they throw the gauntlet down in front of him if he doesn't pick it up and then have you as VP. Because that's even, I mean, that's a royal flush right there. That's power packed. But, I mean, definitely you need to get in the mix now. And people who are libertarians need to call them up and say, listen, we need Jesse Ventura in there. Don't try another Bob Barr on us or something. I mean, I'm sorry, not trying to make Bob Barr angry at us. He comes on the show, but I'm sorry, Bob, you're no Jesse Ventura.
Well, you know, I'm not going to say one or the other that way, you know, on Mr. Barr, but, you know, that's the status of it. And then again, you know, before I would do anything like that, I would have to consult my wife and my family because I don't know if they're up for it. You know, and I'll be honest with you, Alex, before any elected job, I put my wife in front of it. That's one of the reasons I did not seek re-election for a second term as governor. You know, I could have won. There's no doubt in my mind I could have been re-elected probably as many times as I would have desired. The Republican Speaker of the House, even off the record, told me that when I was in office. He said, there's nobody in Minnesota that'll beat you. He said, you can be governor as long as you want, but I'm not that way. You know, I'm a throwback. I believe that when you go and serve, you go and serve, and then when you're done serving, go back to what you used to do. That you should not make a career out of it. That's one of the downfalls of our country, is that all of these elected people, they're all career politicians. And when one becomes a career politician, then you're making decisions to benefit your career, which may not be the right decisions to benefit the country. And that's the situation we're in. And, of course, with the Democrats and Republicans, they don't give a damn about the country. All they care about is their party, their power, and whoever they serve, which is, of course, their corporate donors and big money.
Let me go over a few of those numbers, Governor. This is an article, 12 Facts About Money in Congress That Are So Outrageous, It's Hard to Believe They Are True. Up at Infowars.com, we have links in this article to all of the mainline statistics. The collective net worth of the members of Congress increased by 25% between 2008 and 2010, as the rest of the collective wealth went down. Number two, the collective net worth of all members of Congress is now slightly over $2 billion. That is a billion with a B. Number three.
Hey, wait a minute. If they're paid government employees, how could their wealth go up if they're on a fixed salary?
Well, that's why they'll spend 50 times what it pays to get the job.
Gee, are they getting money on the side somehow?
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay.
Number three, this happened during a time when the net worth of most American households was declining rapidly. According to the Federal Reserve, the collective net worth of all Americans decreased by 23% during the same period. So theirs went up more than...
Well, let me add this to it, too. All you hear about from Republicans in Congress is government Obamacare, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, then... here's what I propose. I propose that every citizen in the United States should have the identical health care as the Congress gets.
Oh, that's right. They're exempt from all their own laws to get their own health care.
Yeah, and what is it? It's government-run health care. So when you hear Michelle Bachmann screaming about Obamacare, remember, she has government-run health care that serves her family just fine.
That's right. Ron Paul has refused it, by the way.
Well, okay, Ron's an honorable man.
Exactly. No, I was just...
But the point is, there's your fine example, that the Congress gets benefits you don't get. They get health care. You think they're worried at all that half of this country can't even go to the doctor because they have no health care? What do they care for? They have theirs. And theirs is government run. So when you hear all these Republicans sit and condone or berate government run health care when they have it, that's the height of hypocrisy.
You're right. Here's a couple more. I won't read them all. Number four, the average net worth of a member of Congress is now approximately $3.8 million. Number five, the net worth of House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi increased 62% from 2009 to 2010. Boy, talk about cashing in. The top Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, saw his net worth grow by 29% from 2009 to 2010. He is now approximately worth $9.8 million. Number seven, more than 50% of the members of U.S. Congress are millionaires. It just goes on, but enough of that.
And that doesn't necessarily make them bad.
No.
I mean, that's what America's about. Let me be clear on that, But the point is, if it's a level playing field.
Yes.
And if they're acquiring their money in an honest manner, and they're not selling their souls to rock and roll, which is what these people... the first thing that I would do if I became president of the United States, you know what I would attempt to do?
Tell me.
I would take away retirement. Because when you do public service, you should not get a retirement for it. That's what you ought to look into too, Alex. Look into the retirement of these congressmen and the huge parachutes they get
for
their time in office.
There are some small town people in small town government getting $800,000 a year in California. Gov, there's so much to cover, and we're running out of time. I want to go back to during the break. You were
Do you think that would be a good idea as president? Take away all retirement. You're supposed to be doing public service. When you do public service, there shouldn't be a retirement plan.
Well, I know it's certainly turned the government into a mafia, but Gov, going back to during the break, you were really on fire talking about what the TSA is, where this country's going, the media lying about what you said. Throw down the gauntlet. I mean, you've got the floor.
Again, the TSA to me, the workers out there, I mean, these are $10 an hour workers. These are people that are not highly trained. They're not highly trained at all to do what they do, and it's a complete abuse. People that work at the airports, they don't have to go through this screening. It's only the passengers that do. And I would love to see people boycott the airlines. I would encourage people, if you get the chance, don't fly. Don't participate in this martial law that's going on at our airports. Because if you want to know what martial law is, go to an airport. Go to an airport. All you're going to see are guards, armed guards, walking everywhere, and you being frisked and patted down and treated like a prison asylum. And that's what our airports... I live in Mexico half the year, and I have a lot of friends down there that come from Europe. They avoid the United States like the plague. They avoid it because it's like going into East Berlin. They tell me that. Is that what our country should stand for?